Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time round, we're checking out Temple of the Lizardmen. This is a little different from some of the other stuff I've been covering lately. I've been doing a lot of randomizers, a lot of weapon mods, but this is pretty simple and straightforward by comparison. So this is a single-player WAD file consisting of 7 maps in total, and I just think it's a really nice example of someone sitting down and designing to a specific theme and doing it in an extremely consistent manner. And to be perfectly honest, I find WAD files like this extremely difficult to talk about. And that's largely because there's no one particular feature here that you can point to and say, this is the thing that absolutely defines this particular WAD file or mod. That's something that you can't always do with certain WADs, and that's certainly the case here with Temple of the Lizardmen. So, with that out of the way, what have we got to work with here? Well, first of all, the weapons models have been swapped out for alternatives, but they pretty much function exactly how you'd imagine them to. There's no real major surprises here. It's all very functional. The pistol fires maybe a bit quicker than its vanilla counterpart, and the shotgun, well, the shotgun's a shotgun. And that's pretty much the same for most of the other weaponry. The pretty much straight swaps. The only other thing you're going to have to watch out for is the fact that most of these weapons do have an automatic reload function, which can very occasionally catch you off guard if you're not careful. Beyond guns, you've got access to flares, and flares, as you can see, can set sticks on fire. And it would be fantastic if this WAD actually took advantage of that neat little feature, but sadly, it doesn't. It's just a novelty. It's just something that you can do, and the supply of flares that you have really does just run out rather quickly. So I get the feeling it was an idea that the author wanted to play around with, but it just really didn't go anywhere, so he left it in regardless. Not that that's a bad thing, mind you. I'd rather have an interesting idea in there that didn't quite work out as opposed to no idea whatsoever. But speaking of other things that I found quite interesting, this. Look at that. That is really cool. The sprite actually reflects what perspective you're looking at the medkit from. I don't think I've actually seen that done before in any of the other WADs or mods that I've played. Maybe I have and I've just completely missed it, but I can safely say that when I finally noticed it about 10-15 minutes into playing this particular WAD, it brought a pretty big smile across my face for such a small, purely cosmetic feature. Enemy-wise, Temple of the Lizardmen has a fairly interesting roster of adversaries. You've got these guys, which are the Lizardmen. The blue ones are pretty quick. They can leap fur distances. These guys can fire purpley magic blasts at you. And then you've got your regular Lizardmen, who come in a shade of imp brown, which is kind of strange, because when I think of a Lizardman, I think, green and scaly. And in fact, there is a green and scaly Lizardman on the start screen, but not in the actual WAD itself, which is kind of strange. But yeah, considering the Lizardmen are supposed to be the central enemy character of this WAD, the clues in the name and everything, they're quite possibly the weakest aspect of Temple of the Lizardmen. Yeah, they're unfortunately relegated to cannon fodder until maybe the last level or so, where they introduce, I think it's a more dangerous Lizardman variant, one that can shoot fireballs at you. But until then, you'll be running into a lot of familiar enemies from various other games. There's a few Hex and Heretic types kicking around here. In fact, I'm pretty sure the spiders that I went up against earlier are from Blood, so yeah, it's a pretty eclectic mix when it comes to sprites from various other games being used here. Truth is, I don't feel like this video is going to do this WAD adequate justice, because first of all, that chainsaw has a Judas Priest sound clip when you rev it up for some reason, and quite honestly, it's not a very interesting WAD to watch other people play, but I feel like it's an entirely different experience for you to sit down and actually play yourself. In reality, I actually find this quite a relaxing mod to play, especially the first few stages. It's that nice combination of music and location. I realize I'm saying this as I'm carving a Molitor in half, but regardless, in comparison to some of the other stuff I've been playing, I find this quite a chill experience. Definitely more than the sum of its parts. I mean, it's not overwhelmingly difficult, it's not overwhelmingly obtuse in terms of its level design, it's As I've said before, pretty straightforward, pretty simple WOD file that is oddly enjoyable to play, that I would actually recommend to a fair few people. And from what I know, this is actually one of a current trilogy of Temple of the Lizardmen WOD files, and I will be checking out the others in future installments. Now, one other thing that I haven't mentioned so far is how this WOD deals with health. You may or may not have noticed that I'm currently sitting on over 500% health, and that might seem ever so slightly excessive, and that's because it is. Normally, Doom will only let you top out at 200% health. But here, there is in fact an additional WOD file in play that breaks the health limit. It does come packaged with this particular WOD file, and I'm still trying to pinpoint exactly why that's the case. Because for the most part, the encounters in this WOD are pretty straightforward. I mean, occasionally you'll run into stuff like this, a Hell Baron in a small enclosed hallway that means you will suffer splash damage if you're using a weapon like the grenade launcher here, and occasionally you will run into a few monster closets, like this one, with Revenants, my favorite. And again, as you can see, that does tank my health fairly significantly. But then again, these are just temporary spikes in difficulty. You're not going to be running into these all the time. And it's not anything that couldn't be remedied with a few well-placed med packs. In fact, I feel like it's intended more as a crutch than anything to smooth out the entire experience, because balancing the health over the course of the campaign can occasionally be quite tricky, especially when you've got a few enemy characters in the mix that can deal pretty big blows to your character in a short space of time. These guys, for example, you can't see them yet, but they're there, trust me. Here we go. These guys, when they land a scratch, can take a fair bit of health off you, and that kind of stuff adds up. The Chaos Serpents as well, they've got a fireball attack that can pretty much melt your face off, and there's a boss character, the Dragon, which, when it does land any hits, will completely sap you of health. But personally, if you're doing good enough, if you're playing well enough, that shouldn't really be a problem, and this health modification does have the side effect of making the WOD in general feel ever so slightly too easy, not quite as challenging as it could be. So, all things considered, it's a perfectly okay mod. It's nothing particularly spectacular, it's nothing particularly groundbreaking, but not all WODs need to be. Sometimes they just need to be solid, enjoyable experiences, which I feel Temple of the Lizardmen is. And in fact, I'm looking forward to checking out the more recent entries in the Temple of the Lizardmen series. But yeah, if you're more of a hardcore Doom player, this probably won't be your cup of tea, but for the rest of us, it's still, well worth checking out. Link, as usual, is in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments below, as well as any suggestions for mods you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of Doom Mod Madness. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.